Highland Lanes in Austin, Texas for the championship round finals of the $130,000 Columbia 300 Open. Now here's a rundown of tonight's finalists. He just loves it here in the capital of the Lone Star State. Back to defend his title is 29-year-old Kent Wagner. His opponent in the opening match is making his second consecutive showing in the championship round. Mark Baker out of Garden Grove, California. And starting from the middle of the pack this week in search of his first career PBA title, it's 24-year-old Dave Arnold. Purvis Granger, a fifth-year pro out of Lafayette, Louisiana, qualified in the number 2 position this week, while left-hander Scott Devers out of Centerville, Indiana, will shoot for his third career PBA victory from the top seed position. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to Austin, Texas. Joining me once again this week is Mike Durbin, who also bowled very well here in the Lone Star State throughout the years. An interesting show this evening, a couple of different storylines, starting first and foremost with our defending champion, Kent Wagner. Can he make it 2 in a row?
Well, I think the answer to that is definitely yes. Kent Wagner is making his third consecutive appearance in our championship round in Austin, Texas. He won last year in a different house, Westgate Lanes, but just 2 weeks ago, he lost in a roll-off to Pete McCordick. If he'd have won that roll-off, he may very well have gone up and won that tournament as Pete McCordick did. So I think he can go all the way tonight.
Well, I know you've told me through the years the only place to qualify on the PBA Tour is number 1, but the numbers really don't bear that out the last 3 weeks.
Well, they don't bear that out at all, Denny, because the last 3 weeks, the winner of the first match has gone on to win the tournament. That ties a PBA record. That hasn't happened since 1973. If the winner of the first match goes on to win tonight, that'd be 4 weeks in a row, a new PBA record.
All right, let's talk about the other side of the coin this evening, the top seed position. It hasn't been a good one thus far on ESPN this summer, but Scott Devers, he's been very successful from the number 1 spot.
Well, the top seed is 0-5 this summer. Hasn't won one time, but Scott Devers is 2-0 from the top seed. So Scott must like that. He must have that ability to focus for that one game and win that one game.
And, of course, coming up in the opening match here in the $130,000 Columbia 300 Open, it's the long and short of the PBA Tour. That's right, Kent Wagner and the big fella from Garden Grove, Mark Baker. We'll be right back.
I've been looking all over for this terrific video cassette I heard about. It's called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports. There's scenes where Darryl Dawkins renovates NBA backboards.
That's a fantastic video. My favorite part is when Billie Jean King turns Bobby Riggs into tennis's court jester.
I hear there's a scene where a West German golfer shoots for birdie from a pretty strange place.
I love it where George Brett calmly disputes his pine tar home run. The all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports is 45 minutes of the funniest film I've ever seen.
Great, so you have it.
No store has this version.
Now what do I do?
You get it free.
Let me understand. You don't have the video, but you're going to tell me how to get it free.
Right.
Am I missing something?
You're missing out on Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated? I love SI. What does Sports Illustrated have to do with it?
You get the all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports free with your paid subscription.
Oh, I let my subscription run out.
Well, now's a perfect time to go for it again. You get 25 weeks of America's best sports coverage, including the Pro Football Preview and the beautiful swimsuit issue.
I love that.
You even get the big Summer Olympic special issue and the commemorative Olympic pin set.
And the all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
You get it all.
I do? How?
Just call Sports Illustrated's toll-free number.
Hold on. All that great footage, that video's really worth having.
I ought to know.
Yeah, I'll bet they raised the price of the magazine, right?
It's over 47% off the cover price. Just 3 monthly installments of $9.89 each. You can even put it on a credit card.
No kidding. I get 25 weeks of SI, including the Pro Football Preview, the Summer Olympic special issue, Olympic pin set, the swimsuit issue, and the video cassette free.
You get it all. Just call 1-800-541-8700.
I gotta get to a phone. What's that number again?
Here, 1-800-541-8700.
Hi, have you heard of a video cassette called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
Welcome back, everyone, to Highland Lanes in Austin, Texas, opening match between Mark Baker and Kent Wagner. Wagner will start on the left-hand lane, and the championship round pair this week, lanes 19 and 20, a high-scoring pair.
Very high scoring. They average 235 the entire field on this pair, but sometimes that's a bad omen. The right lane appears to be hooking a couple boards more than the left. All the participants that had the choice picked to finish on the left lane as Wagner leaves the 2458 dinner bucket on lane 19, except Mark Baker, who had chosen to finish on 20, switched at the last minute.
Third consecutive championship round appearance here in Austin, Texas for Kent Wagner, and although he and his wife Lisa live in Palmetto, Florida now, if he wins this week, they may be moving to Texas.
It's like McCordick's going to Tucson as he misses the bucket right out of the gate, and Mark Baker needed something to get him loose. That might be it.
Kent Wagner 3-6 on national television, so he's done a good job of qualifying the last couple of years, but once he gets there, he's had problems. First good look at Mark Baker, and talking about a guy who has really bowled well and has struggled a little on television, this is the player to watch, Mark Baker.
Yeah, if he ever loosens up on TV, look out, he could win 10, 15 titles.
This year thus far, he's won $61,200. That's just about what he finished up the 87 season at, so he's ahead of schedule. Career earnings in excess of $479,000, so he'll be right around half a million if he would win here tonight.
And we see the characteristic of the two lanes, 19 being tighter, both bowlers light on lane 19.
Looked like he stood up a little bit, lifted up a little bit on that shot, Mike.
Well, he tried to get a little bit extra on it, and got the opposite result. The ball went right.
All right, quick question for you. When one lane is tighter than the other, what kind of an adjustment do you make?
Most of the time, it's just a couple boards with your feet and one with your target, and you just square up a little bit more on the tighter lane.
Does your speed vary?
Ooh, as he misses the 258. No, I didn't try to vary my speed.
Okay.
I tried to keep the same speed on a pair of lanes. Try and throw one speed on one lane and another on the other lane of the pair is very, very difficult.
So lane 19 provides a problem for both of our players here early on in the opening game. Wagner tries to bounce back. Just blisters the rack on the right-hand lane.
Well, we see the ball finishing a little bit stronger on lane 20.
Kent Wagner being the senior citizen of the television crew here this evening at the tender age of 29.
Amazing, isn't it?
Boy, oh boy. 7 titles among our 5 finalists here this evening.
For the double. Ooh, the solid 10. Good shot. Made the adjustment of the bucket. Probably moved the board right. Kent with his unorthodox style. No slide at all. Plant right over about the 10th board. Watch the 6-pin. Second from the right. Flies around that 10. Live action at the spare.
Talking to all 5 players on the championship pair as they were practicing, preparing. Lanes very much what they were. Any surprises for the players?
Shouldn't be. Pin was coming across, but got interfered with there. Didn't get to the 10.
I know that you alluded to a point last week when Mark made the championship round. The fact that that little finger is not tucked under anymore. It's pretty much flat on the ball to get a little less side spin, maybe throw the ball a little straighter, and it appears to be working for him. He's in the championship round for the 2nd straight week.
2 weeks in a row doing that, and 2 very, very different conditions. Last week, the lanes hooked quite a bit and were pretty much outside. This week, Mark has played left of the second arrow all week long, and they've been a lot tighter. Lanes are a lot more oil this week than last week.
You've made the observation through the years as well that all the great players came out on tour, and they normally hook the ball quite a bit, but by the time they get into year 4, 5, 6, 7, they all start throwing it straighter and straighter and straighter.
I wonder if that's age or just adjustment.
I think it's intelligence. Basically, you realize to cash every week and be involved, you got to throw it a little straighter, and that's exactly what Baker does on the left-hand lane, makes the nice adjustment. So he strikes on the left-hand lane, and this is a very close match indeed. Kent Wagner by 1, and we'll be back with more bowling right after this.
What makes Jenny Light taste so great? Ingredients. Barley and hops planted with state-of-the-art technology and harvested at the peak of ripeness.
Aye, that's right, Martha. We're making Jenny Light.
And shipped thousands of miles to our brewery. In fact, there's no place we won't go in our search for fine ingredients. A search that makes it all worthwhile when you say, boy, could I go for a Jenny now.
Fred Gregg Buick introduces an all-new automotive standard. Under the hood, a fuel-injected 2.8-liter V6 with solid-state ignition. Standard. With four-wheel independent suspension and four-wheel power disc brakes. Standard. And luxury that surrounds you with total comfort. All standard. All starting at under $13,000. It's the all-new Buick Regal. Take command of the American road with the 1988 Regal from Fred Gregg.
The great American road belongs to Buick.
Yeah.
And if you want to take a look at study and perseverance, how about Purvis Granger? Started the event in 92nd place after the first 6 games and ends up qualifying second. Not bad.
And he moved up every round, and he says, all I want to do is move up one more this time.
Wagner in the 4th, and he likes that offering. Well, I think we're settling in, at least with the 2 right-handers here, in realizing that lane 20 is the easier of the 2.
And yet, everybody picked to finish on 19.
All right. I understand that.
Psychology of that many, many times is they want to get their score posted first and make the other guy have to strike out to beat them.
Looking for the first double in the match.
Another ringing 10. Boy. Not much you can do about that, Dan, except pick up the ball, move left on the approach, and make the spare.
This has been an excellent pair for Kent Wagner throughout the week. Games of 245 and 248 for an average of 246.5.
He didn't leave the 10 pins then.
I think what I like most about Mark Baker and Kent Wagner's games is their ability to get up there and know exactly what they want to do, and they don't waste much time in the process.
Well, you always did like those fast players, didn't you?
Hey, my dad always told me if you get up there and you don't know where it's at, you aren't going to find it standing around.
For the double. No, a 4-pin. So it's just back and forth, the 2 players. 1 pin still separating him if he makes the 4-pin.
Of course, we've already made a point out of the aspect that the player who has won the opening game the last 3 weeks has ended up in the winner's circle. Both of these players qualified to do that, I think, don't you, Mike?
Yes, I definitely do. Kent Wagner on the left, Mark Baker on the right. See how Baker is so all the way back at the end of the approach, 5 steps. Well, Wagner's 4. Baker pushes it out. Wagner drops it down right away. Full arm swing. Look at that body position right there with a nice long slide. Well, Wagner has no slide. Yet both of them are in the top 5. 3 solid 10s on that lane. 2 by Wagner, 1 by Baker.
Kent's feet, his feet moved so fast that even in slow motion, he was 3 steps ahead of Baker by the time he got the ball into the swing.
Well, when you drop the ball down that quick in the approach, then you have no choice. Your feet have to run to catch up.
Creates a lot of momentum that way, though. Ball speed. I know you're not a proponent of that, so...
He's in the top 5.
2 different opinions, right? Yeah, really.
I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
How can you argue the fact that he wins $95,000 last year? Match very close here. Ooh, nice shot on the right-hand leg.
And he gets to finish on that lane, Dan.
All right, now I'm going to ask you the inevitable question. When you're leaving the solid 10, and you do it a couple of times in a row, is there any kind of an adjustment that you can make to carry the 10?
Some players may have an ability to be able to just stroke the ball a little bit more, but I never had that ability. I just kept trying to throw it in there and figured that sooner or later the law of averages says that one of them was going to carry.
Does it help if you talk to it?
No, it never did help.
Yeah, you did that through the years, I know.
See, what he tried to do then was stuff it in there a little bit tighter, and stuffed it in for a 4-6.
Ouch.
See, that was caused entirely by his frame of mind in trying to carry the solid 10. And he figured that he had to get it in there just dead perfect flush, and it's over about the 11th board, and it doesn't hold. And he leaves the 4-6 and gets 9 out and falls behind.
So Wagner now trails by 10. Baker in a position to kind of grab control of the match here. When we come back, Mark Baker will start in the 7th frame.
Every day, Jack Taylor and Joe Donovan take the same road home. But today, they went a little out of their way.
Give you a hand.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood aged Budweiser.
This Bud's.
For all the guys who go out of their way.
This Bud's for you.
All you need to know about do-it-yourself projects is your neighborhood True Value hardware store.
Seal and inflate tires with Gold Eagle Air and Repair, just $1.99. Add shine with Super Hard Shell Car Wax by Turtle Wax, just $2.49. And prevent lockouts with credit card keys by General All Lock. They store away easily in a wallet or purse, and they're just $3.99 a set.
For great prices and professional advice, shop at participating True Value hardware stores. And tell them Pat Summerall sent you.
Each weekday, ESPN's magazine shows are hot off the presses. Mondays, catch the inside pitch on Major League Baseball magazine. Tuesdays, swing into the week in golf with Inside the PGA Tour. Wednesdays, keep pace with the racing world on Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest. Thursdays, stay on track for the best motorsports with ESPN Speed Week. Fridays, keep ahead of the pack on running and racing. Your subscription awaits. Weekdays on ESPN.
Plenty of money on top this week, Michael.
Beautiful trophy there. The difference between 5th and 1st. I mean, just getting hot for a few games can mean so much money.
Baker up by 10. And that helps the cause.
Somebody's got to get a double right here and take charge of this match. 10 pins ahead. Can put a lot of pressure on Mr. Wagner with a double right here.
As we have seen in the past, though, Kent Wagner responds to pressure. Last year, striking out to beat Philip Ringner by a pin to capture the championship. Last night, throwing a big game and stringing some strikes just to make the telecast.
And up over 100 pins against Tony Westlake. Not a good shot. Stood right up at the line. Broke it down for only the 3 pin. Same thing he did in the 9th frame last week. He stands straight up at the foul line. And this is caused simply by the pressure. Now watch it go. Left of target, way left of target. Came up at the line, right through the heart of the pins. Gets a big break and knocks out the 6 pin, leaves only the 3. And he knew it right away. Spare was no gimme.
Well, through the years, he has mystified the experts physically. When you watch Mark Baker bowl throughout a tournament, he can become a dominant player. But in the one-game matches on national television, he doesn't seem to have that rhythm and that loose feel that he does throughout the tournament. He's got to win a couple of games, I think, to get loose.
It's confidence, Denny. It's just simply confidence. Wagner chips the 4, 10 pins behind. We could have a tie here, Dan. I'm looking for Kent to stuff one in there and carry on this left lane this time to even this match.
Kent's wife, Lisa, outstanding women professional bowler. She won last week the Fairlanes Capital Classic. He just got off the phone with her a couple of minutes ago, and she's 9th with 1 round to go in the Michigan Classic this week.
Oh, he couldn't have thrown it any better. Solid 7. He has had no luck. He leaves the bucket in the 1st frame and misses that. Solid 10 in the 3rd, solid 10 in the 5th, a 4-6 in the 7th, and now a solid 7.
What happened to the 4-pin?
Let's watch the 2-pin. Watch the 2-pin as the ball hits the 1-3 pocket. He's going to get in the way here, and the 2 just bounces up there and never hit the 7.
Wow.
And he gives a little slap of the hands, and I'm sure a comment or two.
Oh, my goodness. What a great shot under pressure for Wagner, and he comes up with 9 spare.
Has to hurry. And does. Nice shot. Mark, when he can throw it right, is as good as anybody on the PBA Tour. When he's got to square up a little bit more and get the ball right on line all the time, he can do it. It's just he's got to believe he can do it. Right now, he's going at a 187 pace. The best Wagner can get is 187. If Mark would strike right here, he's got the first match victory. Very little time. Better shot, and it didn't make it. Leaves the 2-pin. High the last time, light this time. Only threw one ball in the pocket on the lane he chose to finish on.
Well, we could still have a tie.
Yes, we could.
Last year, Kent Wagner had to strike out to win. Tonight, he may have to strike out just to hang on to tie.
You can't be careless on this fair either. Has it. He's got to find some way to get a strike on this ball so he can't lose. Count is very, very important right now because Wagner has just drilled the right lane every shot. He hasn't missed the right lane yet.
The only open in the opening game for Baker came in the second when he missed the 2.58. Took a good look at the score, so he knows what he needs.
There's only been one strike between these two players on lane 19. Has to hurry. Leaves the 4-pin. He can lose. Same situation that Wagner was in last year to win the title.
Has 2 career PBA titles to his credit. Re-racks here to buy himself, I think, a little time.
Has to have all 3, one at a time. Right there.
Oh, shreds that rack. Well, he hasn't missed striking on that lane yet.
The most strikes you can get on any one lane in a game is 7, and he needs 7 in order to win this first match.
Watching him last night, getting a chance to watch him play last year, it wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Technician walked down the walkway on lane 1 just as Kent's getting up to get set to throw his most important shot of the week right here.
It won't bother him.
Right there. And gets the break, knocks out the 7-pin.
I know you see Mark Baker thinking to himself, no. I should have never, ever given him the opportunity to do this to me.
That's right, exactly. Watch it come in light here, and the 7-pin's the last to fall. Barely got hit, and he says, all right. One more to win.
9, and we go into overtime.
And it's 9. And for the second time in 2 championship appearances, Kent Wagner's in an overtime match.
That's right. Just a couple of weeks ago, he ties 2-10 with Pete McCordick and then was disposed of. And Mr. McCordick went on to win the tournament in Tucson.
That's right. Same thing could happen here. See if Baker can figure out 19. Well, he got it in the pocket, but left the 10-pin. Cross lane at the 10-pin. No mistakes now. Has it.
And on his favorite lane, Kent Wagner steps up.
Interesting. He had 6 out of a possible 7 strikes, but the 1 to win he didn't get. Soft 10, so we're still tit for tat right here.
Doesn't get much closer. Kent comes back with a big smile. He and Bakes are talking to each other. Oh, believe me, as much pressure as these guys are under, they still have a lot of fun, I think, competing, especially against Kent Wagner, because Kent is so loose out there. When I said the technician wouldn't bother him, believe me, things like that, he doesn't even take into consideration.
The big difference here now is Baker gets to finish on 20, which has been the obvious better lane for both bowlers. Well, Wagner's got to finish on 19. He's had 2 solid 10s and a solid 7 and no strikes on this lane. And now a solid 4.
Well, he left 2 ringing 10s and then the 4-6 and then the solid 7 and the solid 4. He's pretty much covered the gamut.
Only thing left, solid 8.
Why did you have to say that?
I don't know. She's probably saying the same thing. If Lisa's watching, she's definitely saying it.
Oh, brother. Sometimes, no matter how good you throw it, it just isn't going to happen.
That's right.
He'll stay after him, though, I'll tell you that. It takes a lot of courage to stand up there in the 10th frame and need 2 and 9 to tie and 3 to win.
It sure does.
Strike here would give him 39 in the overtime.
And force Baker to go strike spare to win.
Right. Or 9 spare strike to tie again.
This could go on indefinitely.
This is a 2-hour telecast, is that correct?
His first strike on that lane. So the situation is Baker to win this opening match must strike on this ball right now. Very little time. And he loses.
Well, had an opportunity to win the match in the sudden death. And so Kent Wagner breathing a sigh of relief, and the defending champion and his hopes remain alive here in Austin, Texas. Baker finishes up with 4,500 for the 5th place finish. And Kent Wagner, the man in green, advances into game number 2 here, the $130,000 Columbia 300 Open. And he'll be taking on Dave Arnold here in match number 2.
Winners know what it takes to win. In this game, it takes more control, more power, more precision, more curve. One ball has it all. One ball dominates winning on the Pro Tour. The Black U-Dot from Columbia 300. The Black U-Dot, the ball of champions. Columbia 300, sold only in lanes or pro shops.
Oh, baby, come on. Let me take you where the action is. Oh, baby, come on. Let me take you where the action is. Oh, baby, come on. Let me take you where the action is. Showtime's gonna take you where the action is.
Check out Showtime's exclusive action lineup of blockbusting hits and original shows. RoboCop, Stakeout, Beverly Hills Cop 2, The Untouchables, and more.
Showtime's gonna take you where the action is.
It's not on HBO. The action's on Showtime.
And basically here are the numbers as they were compiled this week at Highland Lanes.
And we see that everybody averaged 204. The lefties a little better than the righties. What you needed to make money was 206 this week, and to make our top 24, 212.
Up a touch from last week, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah, last week you didn't need to average 200 to make the money. So the score's a little bit better here at Highland Lanes. You can see some of the individual honors. Bob Benoit, 785, and Roger Bowker, a 299 game.
Rod Pasteur shot 297 last night.
And most games over 200. Mark Baker, 38, but he couldn't do it tonight. I know he feels bad.
And Average Builders up next, keeping a straight head. Well, that's got to improve your average.
As I watched the pros bowl this week, I was noticing the difference between amateur bowlers and professional bowlers. And the difference that seemed to leap out at me this week was head position. Pro bowlers, for the most part, keep their heads still throughout their entire delivery. Watch Dave Arnold tonight. Watch Scott Devers. See how still and steady their head is throughout their entire approach. Amateurs, on the other hand, have a tendency to move their head either at the start of the delivery or at the finish. Let me show you what happens. Many of us, as we start our approach, have the tendency when we push the ball out to allow the weight of the ball to pull our head and shoulders down like that. What this does is it puts me out of balance right away. It takes my eyes off of the target, and it generally puts me in a position where it's almost impossible to make a quality shot. And really, the solution or remedy is a very simple one. All you have to do when you're starting your approach to keep your head and shoulders from going down is to put a little lock on your chin. Just kind of tighten it up and think of a lock on your chin. And as you step and push with that lock on your chin, that'll keep your head up throughout your entire delivery. The other place where amateurs have a tendency to move their head is at the completion of the delivery or the slide. What happens is as I'm going into my slide right here, many times the head comes up, the body follows it, the ball either goes left of target or right of target. In any case, it goes offline, and again, I lose sight of my target. And once again, The cure is very, very simple. As my good friend John Jowdy told me today, all you need to do is visualize a board above your head. And in that board are 6-inch long nails. And if I bring my head up, I'm going to hit those nails. I'm going to throw a shot for you right now and watch my head. See if it isn't still and steady throughout my entire delivery. It should be, at least. There you have it. If you want a steady head in the sport of bowling, put a lock on that chin at the start and stay away from those nails at the finish. We'll see you again next week.
Kent Wagner still alive here in Austin, Texas, but next in line, Dave Arnold. We'll be right back with game number 2.
We work hard to get our routine together because we want our drill team to be the best. Just like McDonald's works hard to make McDLT such a great lettuce and tomato burger. Hot on one side, cool on the other, with a fresh taste you can't beat. And when you can't beat it, you join it. Join McDLT, but do it in a cool way.
Some guys, they have it all. Some guys are just too vain. Some guys, they have a ball. Some guys get left out in the rain.
Don't wait for something good to happen. Make it happen with the clean, masculine scent of English leather cologne.
Some guys have what others want. Some guys have it all.
English leather. Some guys have it all.
Still practicing on the championship pair. There's a good look at Dave Arnold. He is next in line as Kent Wagner wins the opening game in sudden death. 186 tie with Mark Baker, and then he wins 39-38 in the roll-off. And Dave Arnold, well, he is making his 3rd championship round appearance. Made the show last week in that beat, and last year in Riverside made the telecast. He's not yet won a game on national television, but he's bowled pretty well.
He's very similar to Kent Wagner, only he strokes it a little bit more than Wagner. Wagner throws it hard and straight. Arnold strokes it and throws it very straight. But Dave is accurate and keeps the ball right in the 1-3 pocket, doesn't miss his spares. He's going to win sooner or later.
The professionals really enjoy coming down to Texas to bowl on the summer tour. As a matter of fact, there were 18 PBA champions in the top 24 this week, making it the strongest field of the year, not including the Firestone Tournament of Champions. So obviously very difficult to get to the final 5, and those who did survive this week certainly earned their keep. Handshake and start of match number 2. Wagner begins on the left-hand lane, lane number 19, and he struck on the final shot on the left-hand lane.
And interesting, you know, of the bowlers that made it to the championship round tonight, they only have 7 titles between all 5 of them, and they won 5 of those titles last year.
So some of the young up-and-coming professionals on the PBA Tour. Kent Wagner, don't let this guy get started, because if you do, he's just liable to climb that ladder on you.
Yeah, he says he likes Austin. Arnold, who did not strike on a practice shot on these 4 shots that he had.
It's got to give you a lot of confidence. Boy, this guy's a cool customer, though. He has really developed as a player over the last year.
Week 10, the right lane.
Dave Arnold this year with earnings in excess of $22,000. Last year he won about 26, so he's ahead of schedule at this stage. 3 years a professional, and would really like to play full-time on the tour. And it's more a question of finances than anything else, but I think if I were a sponsor out there looking for a younger player to maybe get involved on the tour, this one would be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Keep making that championship round. You got to have some ability to do that.
Hey, he's steady, though. He gets out there. We've watched him the last couple of weeks in match play. I don't think there's a better concentrator out there in the top 24.
He has an ability to just shut out all activity around him and focus on what he's doing on his pair of lanes. And the guy could be shooting 300 next to him, and he probably wouldn't know it.
Last week, lost to Sam Macarone in the opening game, 214 to 185.
I think that he better start striking, though, because I got a feeling Mr. Wagner's going to get a little loose.
Well, sometimes after you survive that close shave, you have a tendency to relax and just kind of let things happen. It's almost like you're utilizing one of the 9 lives, right?
Almost, as Arnold just stuffs it in lane 19.
Kent Wagner this week with a match play record of 12, 11, and 1.
And still looking for his first double tonight.
Yep.
Oh, it just barely knocks him out. 8-10 with the last to go.
Better late than never.
Yeah, that's very true there. Watch it here. This ball really hits weak. It's going to deflect. And just the 5 kind of snuggled into the 8, and the 10 barely fell over.
So you see that little hop there, and the skip and the jump, realizing that he might have gotten away with one there. But hey, after the solid 7, the 4, the couple of 10s on the left-hand lane, he was due for a break. Ooh, this one off a little bit. It's set up, and well, that was flush.
The 2-pin on that shot just barely clipped the 4 as it was going around, and it fell straight back.
So Wagner opens in a hurry with strikes in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and Arnold had better catch up.
See the way Arnold prepares himself? He's concentrating, focusing on exactly what he wants to do when he gets up there. And once he gets up there, he doesn't take a whole lot of time. High. Ooh, boy, did that set. That one fooled me.
He's about as unemotional as you can get. Now, inside, you know, that stomach's got to be churning, but the outward appearance, nothing different.
Watch this. That ball was left of the second arrow. At this point, I thought it was going high, and it just set up right at the pocket. One more to even the match.
Dave Arnold averaging 230.5 on the championship round pair this week. Games of 234 and 227. That might not be enough tonight.
Six-pin trying to get the 10, but it wouldn't fall over.
I was going to say, that 10-pin tickled a little bit that time. Had a notion, but stood straight up. Reminds me of a young Dave Sutar. I don't know why. Maybe just his composure, demeanor. Nothing much bothers him. Long and lanky.
Speaking of Sutar, he was in the top 24 this week.
Oh, he loves bowling down here. Judy, his lovely wife, alongside watching this week. All right, so we've completed 4 frames here in game number 2. Arnold with a double, but he trails by 11 to this man, Kent Wagner, who has new life here in Austin, Texas.
Smooth, cold-aged Genesee. It's not just a beer, it's a Jenny.
Quick, George, change the channel. It's another boring car commercial.
Wait, honey. This one's for the Continental Auto Group.
What's so special about them?
Well, look. Now until August 1st, it's the Continental Auto Group Summer Savings Sale. We can save up to $2,000 on America's best selection of import and domestic cars and trucks. Plus, get lifetime service, free towing, and free state inspection.
Wait, here comes their number. 1-800-365-5200. Too bad I missed the rest of their commercial. Next time, don't talk so much.
It's a fight for national pride. John McEnroe and Andre Agassi leave the United States against Argentina in a do-or-die Davis Cup showdown. Friday morning at 9 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Mike and I were talking about the strong field that qualified here this week and the fact that there are courses for certain horses. 5 defending champions making the top 24 this week in Austin. Steve Cook, Marshall Holman, Guppy Troop, Kent Wagner, and of course, we mentioned Dave Sutar. Trying to make it 4 in a row, and that one's out of play. Oh, my goodness. Look at this thing.
That hit the out-of-bounds area, and he leaves. I've never seen this left on national television before. The 1-5-7-9. He gets it about 2 boards right at target, and there is oil there, folks, and that ball is never coming back and is sliding further right. The way to make this, he has to hit the head pin light, carry the 5, and send either the 1 or the 5 into the 7.
This will be exciting.
And he almost got it out of the pit. Now we have a close match.
Well, that's certainly a mistake we didn't expect Kent Wagner to make at that stage, but coming out of the commercial break, obviously did not make a good shot at all, and he was the first to admit it. He turned around and asked someone in the audience if they knew how to make that particular split or spare.
It unnerved him as he throws that one right through the nose.
Well, after throwing it right of the world on the right-hand lane, you got to give it the Yankee Doodle shot in the left lane, don't you?
It happens, yes.
I mean, he's 3 boards from the long gray board on the right-hand lane.
And it was heading in that direction.
It was heading right, and there were skid marks on that right lane, I think. Uh-oh. Oh, my goodness. So a pair of open frames, and Dave Arnold sitting on the bench goes from trailing by 11 to leading by 16.
It's more embarrassment than I think anything else, Dan. I mean, just, you make a shot like that on national television. I can remember when 1968, I left the 5-8-10 on national television.
You what?
The 5-8-10.
Did you have good fingers in it?
Oh, wonderful. One of my better shots.
Did you make the spare?
No, I didn't.
Well, a little more serious this time for Mr. Arnold, who does not throw a very good shot, and side kicks the 5 out. Arnold turned. That's as much of a response as you'll ever get from Dave Arnold as he chuckles to himself. Meanwhile, Kent saying, if Lisa were only
Well, I
here.
wonder if that was caused because Kent threw his to the right and hit that out of bounds, and Dave says, that's not happening to me.
Wow. Boy, what a turnaround. Kent Wagner looked like he was on a tear in game number 2, and he slipped up and hit the ice patch in the 4th, and then opened in the 5th. 16-pin lead could be 26 with a strike here on the left-hand lane.
Suddenly, though, these accurate street players are throwing the ball all over the lane. Life for Wagner, anyway.
Solid 4. Kent wants to take a look at the score. Told me that he needed it to get into at least game number 2 because Lisa's currently bowling in the Michigan Classic in Dearborn Heights, and she would be finished in time that if he had won the first game, she'd get a chance to watch him bowl. So we want to welcome Lisa to the telecast. She won on ESPN last week, the Fairlanes Capital Classic. And, of course, the Michigan event will be on this Monday night on ESPN, beginning at midnight Eastern Time.
Isn't that Lisa's 18th title?
Yep. And as a matter of fact, don't quote me, but I think it's number 3 in 88. Of course, she won the U.S. Open. She's the leading money winner with nearly $60,000 thus far this year.
Between the two of them, they're doing all right, aren't they?
Yeah, not bad. Well, back to serious business on the right-hand lane as Kent shakes his head after the relapse in the 4th and the 5th.
Kind of just went to sleep there for 2 frames. And
well, never one to get too far ahead, this Kent Wagner.
Let's hope he doesn't get too far behind.
I think he's about ready to throw a double here and climb back into the match. Nope.
He's just unnerved right now, Dan. He's talking to himself. He needs to make the spare to keep himself in the match. And it's no gimme. 2, 4, 5, 8, dinner bucket. And when Kent gets like this, he takes little time as it is, he takes even less. He's in trouble.
Well, 3 open frames in 4 tries, and Dave Arnold's going to be in a position to win his very first match on national television. Come on back, and we'll find out if he's able to do so.
Stay with us, Best Western. All memories you'll always share. Stay with the folks who know and care. Best Western.
Nobody knows America like Best Western, so stay with the folks who know it best. Why not call us now for the right place to stay at the right price? Best Western.
Come on, everybody, the lights got a brand new dance. Once again, she's gonna do it. There's nothing to it to the Bud Light Slide. We'll tell them dance right when the music's hot. Have a cold Bud Light to the Bud Light Slide.
Spud McKenzie parties with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
Have a cold Bud Light to the Bud Light Slide.
Dave Arnold out of Campbell, California, with a 28-pin lead as he steps up in the 7th on the right-hand lane. The winner of this game takes on Purvis Granger, and then next in line, left-hander Scott Devers.
Ooh, you opened the can there. I mentioned that every one of these bowlers that's left in the tournament needs to win to either qualify or re-qualify for the Tournament of Champions.
Sam Macarone, our winner last week, will be making some travel arrangements this coming spring in '89 to visit Akron, Ohio.
With a big smile on his face.
Yep. Sam went home and decided to celebrate a little bit and relax and enjoy that great victory.
There, the slashes tell the story. There are no spares in this game for Kent Wagner, just X's and slashes.
And this man is yet to open.
And he gets the break and trips up 4. And he says, hey, I'm just going to keep it in the 1-3, and you're going to have to strike out.
Boy, how many times when the professionals are given an opportunity to kind of grab a hold do they take advantage? And there you saw Arnold with a big double.
Kent Wagner is still alive in this match. He's potential 211, but he must strike on this shot to have any chance at all.
He seems to be best in that situation.
He switched balls. He went to a different ball now on this lane. It's not going to make it. Yes, it does. I'm 2 for 2. He got a different reaction. That's interesting with that ball. Let's see on the replay here if he moved a little further right and pointed it up with this ball.
This ball went longer.
He did. He got about the 8th board there and gets the wall shot. All right, it keeps him alive. Arnold, though, needs a decent count and 2 spares. Spare in the 9th and spare in the 10th to win. Boy, that ball fell back at the end, didn't it? It left us only the solid 4, which is just fine with him right now. Easy spare. His count is at 8. If he picks this up, strike spares in the 10th, he's going to shoot 218 and win the match.
Seemed like a nice firm shot, accelerated through it, and not any tentative motion on his part there.
Just a little tilt with his right shoulder, and the ball was left to target and held.
I know you like his game. It's a very square game.
Just a little late with his timing, but other than that... sure has the composure.
Could shoot 228 if he strikes out, but he's not going to need that much.
Right now, he just needs to, fill 14 pins in the 10th frame in order to win? Some kind of mark.
Taking plenty of time.
Spare or strike.
Sure. He knows the position he's in.
Best kind of mark. Well, that was his best shot of the game. Right there.
So the clincher there in the 10th frame.
Well, you need 4 pins on 2 balls right now.
I think he could handle that.
Yeah. Think you could handle that, Dave?
Sure, no problem. Okay. If you'd have said 5 or 6, I might have been a question. 4 I can get.
Well, we're leaving all kinds of embarrassing things here tonight. The 5-10 in the pocket. I haven't seen that.
Oh, my.
When's the last time you saw a 5-10 in the pocket?
Probably the last time Weber bowled.
Oh, Dick is saying thank you, Denny.
You know I'm not talking about Pete Weber. Oh, I'm going to be in trouble for that one. Richard, I'm sorry. The next time we play golf, you get an extra shot aside. Oh, he kicks it up in grandiose style and shoots 218. Nice game for Dave Arnold.
That's it. Wagner takes no time at all. Leaves the tempo. It's interesting. He could have struck that game out and had 9 strikes and lost the game with 211. We see Arnold's ball making the 5-10 on the fill shot.
Well, if you're a right-hander, you hopefully don't leave that very often. Well, there's the whip of the 10, but it really doesn't make any difference at all. Kent Wagner going to finish up in 4th place this week and made a gallant run at defending his championship here in Austin, Texas. So a nice week nevertheless. But this man cooling off a little bit, Dave Arnold. He is now awaiting Purvis Granger, his opponent, in the next match.
Introducing Kodacolor Gold 100.
I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors shining through.
Kodacolor Gold 100 gives you the most accurate colors, the truest colors of any print film.
So don't be afraid to let them show.
A new Kodacolor Gold.
Your true colors, your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
Savages? Nah, guys with irritated skin from shaving. Try new Aquavelva Skin Conditioning Aftershave. Hey, it's creamy. Guys prefer its soothing formula.
And fragrance. There's something about new Aquavelva Skin Conditioning Aftershave.
There are summer camps for all sorts of sports, basketball, baseball, and softball, but there's also one for bowling, as Tom Green reports.
Okay, but again, in finish position, or at the point of release, we got our shoulders and our knee and the foot right in a straight line. That's going to make for a good balance line. But the thing is, again, we want to watch that foot. We want to keep it on the floor a little bit longer.
Like almost every sport, bowling is big on the use of video as a teaching tool. The professional bowling camp is in Denver this week. The Colorado location is one of 4 places around the country for the camp, which has grown from humble roots.
Camp's been in existence now for about 12 years. It started in a little 16-lane bowling center in Issaquah, Washington. At that time, the students lived at the bowling center. We had bunk rooms, and they were there all day long. It was an exciting program.
The hopes right now are for expansion, but even staying as big as it is can be a problem. The camp remains a secret to most.
That's our biggest problem, is letting people know that there is a program like this available. We have 4 locations across the United States: Connecticut, Ohio, Colorado, and Nevada. And we only have about 500 students a year. We're capable of having a lot more than that, but it's just letting people know that we are here.
It's not really a spinner, but his track is going to be lower than Chad's track, simply because he gets his hand around the side of the ball, or I should say his fingers around the side of the ball, more than Chad does.
There are camps for both adults and kids. This week's camp is for youngsters from 11 to 21. The host pro is Frank Ellenberg. He says he and the staff enjoy working with kids more than adults because they take coaching better. In the 5 days of the camp, each student is taken on an individual basis.
If we feel like they have a sound game, we try to work within that game, give them a few positive notes, some things that might help them improve their scores. If they have a game of which we feel they can't be very successful, then what we try to do is we try to change their game, and we might change their whole entire physical game. When they go home, sometimes their parents don't recognize them.
This camp can help a youngster if he just wants to improve his score by a few pins, or if he has aspirations of becoming a professional. The teachers here feel this kind of instruction should be much more readily available.
Nice little push away, a nice smooth arm swing, and don't pull that ball through. Let's see what happens.
Perfect. We are lacking in educational skills in the industry itself. I think that when you go, for example, if you go to a golf course, go to the golf course, every golf course has 2 or 3 pros. If you need a lesson, all you do is go up to the front and say, I'm a beginner at this. I'd like to get a lesson. I'd like to learn a little bit about equipment, what I need for my game. Do you have some time? And in bowling, if you go into a bowling center, very few bowling centers have professionals along the same lines that can give instruction to the beginner bowler, the intermediate, or even the advanced bowler when he's having problems with his game. The camp has about a 6-to-1 ratio of students to instructors. Some will learn grip and footwork fundamentals. Others, like Chad Yoakum, don't need much work. He already carries an average close to 200.
I come for the finer things now. This is my 4th year, and so I come mainly for the finer points, the on-lane instruction, the lectures are still good because I've learned something new every year from every lecture. You're always learning, and plus the fun parts too. It's the most fun week I have all year.
The next camps will be held in Incline Village, Nevada, and Windsor Locks, Connecticut.
And coming up next, this man, Scott Devers, will probably tell Mike Durbin how he's going to win his third title from the top seed position. Stay tuned.
A special feature's coming your way from Domino's Pizza to ruin the noise day. It's a really big show, so don't be late. 2 regular cheese pizzas for just $8.88. Pay a bit more for toppings. It's all hot and fresh, because it's at your door in 30 minutes or less. Hurry, this won't last forever. Savings like these may be now or never. Domino's Pizza delivers savings.
All you need to know about do-it-yourself projects is your neighborhood True Value hardware store. Add security and nighttime fun with this instant-on quartz floodlight, only $10.99. Accent walkways with a 4-light TrueGuard floodlight set for just $39.99. Discourage insects with yellow bug lights from GE. Get a 2-pack for $1.99. And save energy with this heavy-duty air conditioner timer from Intermatic. Just $9.99 at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
For sports news, turn to the experts. Experts who take you wherever sports happen, whatever time of day. ESPN Sports Center, America's sports authority.
Mike Durbin back at Highland Lanes, and with me is the tournament leader this week, Scott Devers. Scott, I know from being with you during the summer and the winter that there's been several tournaments that you've had to withdraw because of a bad back, that it's given you trouble in the past. Kind of give us a status of what the condition of your back right now.
Well, in January, I was moving some equipment around in the back of my truck, and I tore a lower back muscle. And it took about 10 weeks to heal, and ever since, it healed, it's been just perfect, and I feel just great.
So you're not lifting things anymore now?
You got it. I'll have some friends do it for me instead of myself.
That's the intelligent way to go. Let's look at your career a little bit. Last year, you had an outstanding year. You made over $94,000. You won 2 tournaments. This year hasn't been quite as good. You're right at $27,000 coming into this tournament. No tournament victories. What's been the problem?
Well, really, I don't think there is any problem. I think it's just patience. I'm more consistent this year than I was in last year. However, my finals are down. So I bowled good in the summer, and last year I bowled great in the fall, so let's just hope that happens again this year.
So in your position, if you can win a couple more times this year, it'll be another great year.
Yes, I think so.
Well, this week, you've bowled outstanding all week long. You've been near the top right all the way through. What's turned it around this week?
Well, at the end of last week, I went to San Antonio for a Columbia ball test, and Fred Borden, John Jowdy, and myself worked together on my approach. I shortened it up a little bit, and they gave me a few things to key on in my approach. So that's worked this week, and let's just hope that it continues to work and things go my way.
You bowled great from the top seed. Are you ready to win one more game tonight?
You betcha.
Okay. Dan, he says he can do it one more time from the top seed.
Well,
Back to you.
He's made a believer out of me because he's 2-0, but something has to give because neither Dave Arnold or Purvis Granger has ever won a PBA championship. Come on back and we'll find out who will make it to the title game.
Pair the Subaru Justy to the Hyundai XL and you'll be surprised. The Subaru Justy's unique engine gets you from 0 to 60 nearly 5 full seconds faster than the XL. That's performance. Subaru Justy has a shorter stopping distance, 35 feet shorter. Justy has something else the Hyundai doesn't offer. Subaru's long record of durability and reliability. So if you're in the market for a car, check out Subaru Justy. Now from $58.66. Yes, from $58.66.
At Deal Motor Company, they sell more cars because they have the lowest prices.
ESPN is your ticket to NFL Sunday night action when the best go head-to-head. As time runs out elsewhere, ESPN kicks off each Sunday night of the season with football's finest hour, NFL Primetime. The greatest plays from every game played that day. Then, Joe Theismann joins the team that won critical acclaim.
Catch it in August. The NFL on ESPN.
As members of the American Bowling Congress, these men receive valuable benefits. In sanctioned leagues, they know their games count, and standard rules help the fun along. Awards give them proper recognition. They get their shot at national competition, and they're helping our country's Team USA. When these members go bowling, they know being organized is more fun.
Get in league with America. Join the ABC.
All the names, all the games, all the time. ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
They're hooting and hollering in the Lone Star State. Dave Arnold and Purvis Granger sitting down there on your left, relaxing, getting ready here for the semifinal game. And what we have left, Mike Durbin, is three very fine young professional players.
And these two, if you added them together, their ages, they're about the same age.
What's that tell you? You're either getting older or the players are getting younger. Probably a little of both.
A little of both, I would guess, yeah.
First shot on the left-hand lane, a touch high, but you could expect that after a 6 or 7 minute wait. Enjoyed that feature by Tom Green on the bowling schools. Very nicely done. Of course, Frank Ellenberg working with the ESPN crew and one of the outstanding instructors throughout the years. Purvis Granger, a very popular player, a very animated type of a guy, and really enjoys bowling professionally, has a lot of fun in the Pro-Ams and the Junior Pro-Ams.
Five-step player. And you see that ball get out about a foot to 18 inches over the foul line. I've never seen Purvis Granger get that ball that far over the foul line. He always lays it really short, almost loses the ball. This week, either he's changed his grip or made a conscious effort or something's different, but because he's getting the ball over the foul line where I've never seen him do it before.
He's already earned more money thus far in '88 than he did all of 1987. Was run up for Rookie of the Year honors in 1986 to Mark McDowell. Had a great year in '86.
First tournament he came out, when he ever bowled, he was leading for a while.
Just got to tell you something. His second championship round appearance of the year. Made the finals in the Greater New Orleans Classic down in Harvey, and of course that's right in his backyard.
Yeah, he had a bowl for the title down there and almost won.
Yep.
Roger Bowker beat him out.
Nice roll on that shot.
Purvis, no stranger to the folks here in Austin. He made the championship round here last year.
And lost to Pete McCordick, if I remember right.
That McCordick's been beating up on a lot of people the last year and a half, hasn't he?
See, McCordick's at the position now where when he gets on television, he's a threat to win, and he knows it. And I think Mark Baker someday is going to get to that position,
I do, too. All the great players go through that. And as many times as Mark has already been on the telecast. Well, I would have never thrown the shot that way, and you probably wouldn't have either, but it's a strike on the right-hand lane.
Oh, I used to run those Brooklyns out, I'll tell you. Over on the crossover, he is playing a tight line. If he gets it a little bit more left, you see that right shoulder dip down? That sets it even further left, but he says, hey, if you're going to make a mistake, give it far enough left.
Let me ask you this. Does he know that his problem is that his shoulder drops when it drops? He knows he goes left to target. Do you think he's dialed in that close?
Yes, I think he's dialed in that close.
Let's see what happens on this shot.
For the double. Perfect. Hey, you got to take advantage of those breaks.
Shoulder was pretty square there.
All right, now watch the right shoulder. This is on the left lane, though. He makes a good shot here, so he keeps it up. See how square he is? Nice long slide. Shoulder stays up. Look at the follow-through. Right straight up. That's just an excellent shot. And the reaction of the arm coming down, that shows how loose and relaxed he is.
Granger needs the double to tie the match. I like the way Purvis stayed down with that shot. That was solid.
Two young players, 5 steps. Now watch, he starts. See how got the ball to the right here. Watch his head. See the eyes and the head stay still. Came up just a hair at the end there. Came in light. The elbow broke just a hair, but he got the light hit. Those urethane balls, when they hit light, most of the time don't leave 5-10s, as Dave Arnold did. Even match. A tighter lane, and you want to get it up to the pocket, but you point it too much in 4-6-10.
Well, you can see the despair in his face after that shot.
Just no break here. Makes the mistake and doesn't get a break to break up the split. Full penalty. Goes it hard and straight, hoping to bounce it out.
Didn't quite happen. So a pair of 24-year-olds going at each other here in the semifinal game. But right now, Arnold has the lead by 15.
I'm here in this auto graveyard to demonstrate New Finish, the once-a-year car polish. Simply wipe it on and wipe it off. There's no rubbing, no buffing. Look how New Finish restored a deep, hard shine to even this weather-beaten old car. You see, New Finish is not a wax. It's a space-age polymer formula that shines better and lasts longer. And here's proof. An independent laboratory tested New Finish against several leading brands of car polish. After simulating a full year of punishing weather, New Finish had the highest gloss and actually retained 90% of its original shine. Next, we polished this car with New Finish and ran it through 52 car washes. After all the harsh detergents and scrubbing, the water still beads. You'll find New Finish is great for fiberglass boats, too. So get New Finish, the once-a-year car polish. And between polishings, use New Finish Poly Car Wash to clean your car. It's specially formulated to help preserve and maintain your car's finish.
New Finish at Kmart, Woolworth, Osco, True Value, Ace, Auto Shack, Rite Aid, Eckerd, Walgreens, and other leading stores.
And a Columbia 300 Open would not be complete without the smiling face of Connie Smoot, longtime Vice President of Marketing for Columbia.
Attractive lady.
Yep. A lot of fun. Enjoys her bowling, too. Huh? Of course, the headquarters, not too far from here in San Antonio, about, 70 miles from here?
Yep.
The whole Columbia crew out this week. John Jowdy, cigar in hand. Also, Brian Flanner. He'll be presenting a beautiful trophy a little bit later on to perhaps one of these two players. But that shot, not a good one on the right-hand lane. But conversely, he gets the break. He throws it through the nose, and the split doesn't stand.
And sometimes there's just no explanation for those things, the way they happen. It seemed to hit in the exact same place as Granger's ball. He gets 9 and an easy spare, and he's struggling on lane 20. He's got lane 19 zeroed in, but struggling on 20.
It's always something, isn't it?
It's the nature of the game.
Dave Arnold this week averaging 222.07. Thus far in the year, averaging a little less than 210. Kind of interesting. One of the players that he has kind of modeled his game after and watched the last 4 or 5 years on the tour, Mark Baker. Baker already bowing out of this one, 5th.
Doesn't throw the ball like Baker, though.
Not quite. No, not quite.
Just got the left lane wired. If he gets the right lane, look out. Purvis now has to regroup and reload and just put the ball back in the pocket. He just has to make the shots. He knows where to throw it. He's chosen to finish on that left lane. That's been the bugaboo for most of them.
Obviously, his parents, Alice and Audrey, pleased with that shot, although I think they'd like to see him follow up and maybe double on the left-hand lane.
This may be a urethane strike right here. See the follow-through go a little left? Now watch the 6-pin come up and just love tap that 10. With a polyester ball, that's a weak 10 probably.
Okay.
Or worse. Big shot here for Purvis. Can cut it to 4 pins if he can get it back in a strike on lane 19. Perfect and let that solid 10. Oh, he's looking at it. I'm looking at it. How did it stand?
The last offering on that lane, the 4-6-10 split. So obviously a nice adjustment, a good, crisp, professional shot. But the result, as we saw in the opening game between Baker and Wagner, a solid 10 on the left-hand lane.
Yeah, there were several of them in that opening match.
Is that a urethane solid 10, Mike?
We've been leaving those. Here's the first shot. Watch the 6-pin, second from the right, fly around that 10. Really was never close. And here's Purvis's reaction to it. He thinks it's going to strike. Oh, come on.
What's that, the Louisiana shuffle there he was getting ready to do?
That's the disappointed disco.
Yeah, he's quite a dancer, this guy. Well, back to live action. Arnold by 14 could increase it to 24 with an X here on the right-hand lane, but he's had problems on lane 20.
Gave it more room. Perfect. The quiet man, the thin man, just keeps mowing him down.
Watched him in match play this week. 15 wins, 8 losses, 1 tie on the television pair, games of 234 and 227 for an average of 230.5. He doesn't say much, but when you turn around, you keep watching that name Arnold go up the leaderboard.
Up by 24, can make it 34. Oh, what hit it? I'm telling you, the 5-8-10 was there for a second.
Yeah, but when he looked around, it was gone. So it's 3 in a row in the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and a big 34-pin lead. Will he lock it up? We'll find out.
Every week, the National Business Employment Weekly lists hundreds of jobs. Jobs in management, jobs in sales, jobs in almost every profession. So relax. Looking for a better job? Every week, the National Business Employment Weekly lists hundreds of high-paying jobs all across the country. So relax. Looking for a better job? Every week, the National Business Employment Weekly has articles on job interviewing, writing a better resume, and how to succeed once you get the job. So relax.
Pick up the National Business Employment Weekly at a newsstand or call 800-372-3000 and receive 8 issues by first-class mail for only $35. 800-372-3000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move without it.
The National Championship is on the line at one of the major golf events of the year. Defending champion Laura Davies tops the list at the U.S. Women's Open. Thursday and Friday afternoon, live on ESPN.
I have a feeling old Purvis is getting a little nervous at this point. I don't blame him.
Never Nervous Purvis is his nickname, but I'll tell you, the shot in the 4th frame and the 6th frame, he just can turn around a match around so quickly.
Time to get back to work on the right-hand lane.
Breaks down the 5-7 for only the 7, but he's just falling further and further behind with less frames.
Mom and Dad pulling for the strike, but that time it just didn't happen. Obviously very proud of their son. He's already enjoyed some success on the PBA Tour, but I know Purvis, he's hungry for that first title.
So's Dave Arnold.
Yep.
Well, he almost missed that. Almost got careless there. The best Purvis can get right now is 224 if he would take it out the sheet. Right now, Dave Arnold, if he would spare a strikeout, is going to the 229 pace. So, again, you're in that same situation we've talked about in weeks past, where you have to take it out yourself and hope something bad happens to your opponent, and it's never a good position to be in.
I just get the feeling he's working a crossword puzzle or something, Dave Arnold. Just not real caught up in the whole thing. I like his action, though. Oh, that's got two on the left-hand lane. Solid strike. Purvis with a little bit of a wry smile there. A 10-pin in the 6th for Granger. Boy, that was a crucial 10-pin lead. That would have been a double right there.
This is the lane. If Dave Arnold's going to stumble, they'll probably be on lane 20. Starting to throw it better and better and better, Dan. He gave that one a little bit more room and just went through it just super crisp. The speed on that ball was, if we had a gun to measure it, I bet you it was a mile or two more per hour and just went straight to the pocket. The ball never hooked an inch.
269, the best possible score to be posted by Mr. Arnold.
He strikes here, the match is virtually history. I mean, he can open in the 10th and still win. Stuff. A kind of quiet crowd. They're all rooting for Purvis here, and Dave Arnold saying, hey, I'm from California, and I'm going to take care of this guy from Louisiana.
Yeah, the exterminator thus far. Now let's see what Purvis can muster. Better shot, and some nights it just isn't going to happen.
That's right. Those one-game matches, you leave those solid 10s between strikes, and it's just, you can't catch up. You come out with so much expectation, so much hope and fire and everything. But the big shot was in the 4th frame. Key shot there in the 4th frame.
How many tournaments, Mike, on national television before you finally won?
Second one.
Oh, so you were pretty fortunate. For Purvis, what, this is his, I want to say it's his 2nd show this year. He probably made at least a couple last year. Got to be tough. I think at least 3 for him thus far. He's over 3.
Well, he was here last year and didn't win. Right. So we know 3 for sure.
Yep. He's 3-6 overall in his career. Going to be 3-7. Nice check, though, $7,000, and that'll boost the earnings thus far this year to better than $45,000. So he's having his best year ever, but he's going to get that title. Too good a player not to. You know, it was so frustrating, we haven't even touched on this point. He was 1 pin behind Scott Devers last night in the position round game, the final game of the tournament. If he beats Devers, he's the top seed.
He's a tournament leader, that's right.
And they tied at 226, and then obviously got the bonus pins 15 each, and Scott led by a single pin.
That's right. And Scott had to get 2 strikes and 9 in the 10th frame in order to tie in that match.
Yep. So, a disappointed Purvis Granger, but nevertheless, the 3rd place finish for the youngster from Lafayette, Louisiana.
But you can tell Purvis's goals, I think, are in the right place. He didn't come here to finish 3rd or 2nd. No. He wanted to win, and the money was insignificant in that. He wants the money, but he wants that title.
Mr. Arnold just keeps rolling along.
Scott Devers better be ready to strike some in that championship match.
Next time around, Purvis is going to say, I guarantee I get a title. That's Cajun talk, Mike.
I was down there.
You were?
Yes.
Did I say it right?
I wouldn't know.
Probably not. I hope I didn't offend anybody down at Baton Rouge. Like Tim Brando, a big bowling fan that he is. I'll have to ask Tim how you say that.
258 if he makes his spare.
Big game for Dave Arnold. Oh, my. He's just getting better and better. Shot 218 to knock off Kent Wagner. Now 258. What is Mr. Devers thinking about at this stage?
Well, he's thinking, I'm going to come out there and put some pressure on this young man quickly, that he's been there before. Dave Arnold has never been there before. He's never bowled for a title. Scott Devers has bowled for a title. Bowled for 3 of them, won twice.
Big victory for Dave Arnold, 258 to 191. Now, aside from the 5 players in the championship round this evening, there were 19 other professionals that bowled very well this week. As a matter of fact, they finished in the top 24. And we'll take a look now at some of those players. Tony Westlake with the heartbreak of defeat last night in the position round game, just missing the telecast, winning 4,000. We mentioned Dave Sutar. He made a run at the show.
Hall of Famer Sutar. Rowdy Morrow was up there all week long. Guppy Troop, a former champion here. And Steve Cook, former champion here also. Roger Bowker, we mentioned, won in New Orleans this year. Marshall Holman, the great Marshall Holman. David Ozio breaking a little bit of a slump, getting in the top 24. Bob Hanley hooking the ball as usual. Joe Salvemini, we saw him in Tucson. We finished 3rd. Bob Benoit, our leading money winner still. Brian Voss in the finals every week, isn't he? Parker Bone III, bowling very well right now. Mark Roth returning to the tour. Joe Furpo bowling well now. John Fine, a new face in the top 24. Alan Johnson, a very nice young bowler from Phoenix. Rod Pasteur, we saw him here a couple of years ago. And for a local player from right up near, I think, in Houston, T.J. Johnson finished 24.
So Scott Devers, calm and cool and relaxed. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the bowling news. And when that is finished, these 2 young professionals, Scott Devers and Dave Arnold, will bowl for the Columbia 300 Open Championship.
Columbia 300 knows that all bowlers are not created equal. That's why Columbia 300 has spent years in research just to have the right bowling ball for you. If you need less weight, the light dot. Bowl on drier lanes, the white dot. The perfect all-round ball, the world-famous yellow dot. And if you're ready for urethane, the Columbia 300 U-Dot is your ultimate weapon. Columbia 300, sold only in lanes and pro shops.
Get ready for thunder. Thursday nights explode with thundering power and lightning speed. First, the green flag is raised on ESPN Speed Week, a recap of the top events in motorsports. Then it's motorized mayhem featuring rugged off-road racing, the lightning speed of the dragsters, car-crushing excitement, mudbox truck and tractor pulls, and the live thrills of bone-jarring USAC racing. Experience Thursday Night Thunder on ESPN.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Bowling News. And welcome back to Austin, Texas. The largest women's sports event in the world, finally wrapped up after 96 days of competition in Reno and also Carson City, Nevada. A record field of 77,735 players participated in the 69th annual WIBC Championships. And here's now a close-up look at some of those who beat the long odds and captured titles. To congratulate all of those who finished first and second and all the way down the line in this year's WIBC Championships out in Reno and Carson City. Well, we're now at the halfway point of the PBA Summer Tour on ESPN, and 5 different players have currently won better than $100,000. Let's now check out the top 5. Heading up the list once again, it's Bob Benoit. Pete Weber, who did not play this week in Austin, is currently number 2. Brian Voss, Mark Williams, and Marshall Holman all got checks this week. They remain in the top 5. Tony Westlake, who just missed the championship round this past week, is currently number 6 with nearly $95,000 to his credit, while Walter Ray Williams Jr., the most consistent casher on the 88 Tour, Dave Husted, along with Dave Ferraro and Pete McCordick, make up the rest of the top 10. Mark Roth may have only averaged 215.57 this week at Highland Lanes, but overall, the 33-time PBA champion still leads the Tour in knocking down pins. Pete Weber is less than a stick per game behind, while Brian Voss, Old Deadeye, and Kingston's Dave Ferraro round out the top 5. The sport of bowling has long been a generous one as far as charities are concerned. One of the favorite charities is muscular dystrophy. And this past week, the man himself, bowler Jerry Lewis, provided plenty of excitement and some capital to his own MDS drive here in 1988. Jerry rose to the occasion, thrilling bowling fans of all ages by tossing an above-average 160 game. Now, that may not sound like much, but when you consider the fact that Brunswick Recreation Centers pledged $1,000 per pin, the game was worth $160,000. Now, Jerry never stops rolling for his kids. He talked BRC into a bonus situation, and he stroked 2 more strikes out of 3 frames, and the good folks at BRC added another $40,000. The week's work for Jerry Lewis and the kids, $200,000. Nothing short of sensational. Well, joining me is Mike Durbin, and Mike, we're at the midway point as far as the PBA National Tour is concerned, and now it's time to start talking about Bowler of the Year.
Well, I think we do need to start talking about Bowler of the Year, Denny. Last year we had a race right up to the finish. This year it's much the same, and you and I have composed a list, and the top 3 names on both of our lists are identical, and I think it's interesting that those 3 names represent the winners of our 3 major tournaments this year. Brian Voss won the PBA National, Mark Williams won the Tournament of Champions, and Pete Weber the U.S. Open.
All right, now we have a bit of a difference of opinion here. In the number 4 slot, you're picking Bob Benoit. I'm going with Walter Ray Williams Jr. because he's already led back-to-back tournaments this summer, has had 7 appearances on national television.
Walter Ray's had an outstanding year, Denny, but I really couldn't get my vote unless he wins at least 1 tournament, maybe 2. And I don't see how you can ignore our PBA's leading money winner this year. He's won 1 title, the Grand Prairie Open this winter. He shot 300 on national television in his first game on national TV, the only bowler ever to do it in the championship match.
All right, then Marshall Holman and Pete McCordick, my 2 picks for a tie for 5th. I'd have Benoit at this point, probably number 7, depending on what he does the rest of the year. Obviously, he's in the hunt, but I think this year, more than any year in the past, you could say that legitimately there are 7, 8, maybe even 9, 10 players that have a shot at Bowler of the Year.
Well, there certainly are. Last year, it was much the same story when it came right down. A lot of different votes distributed a lot of different ways. We've got several guys that have won 2 titles this year. McCordick was tied for 5th and 6th on your list. He's way behind in money, but he's won 2 titles. If he wins a couple more, he's got a chance. If I had to pick one guy, though, right now, I'd have to lay my money on Brian Voss if he's going to win it at the end of the year.
I think I probably would, too. He came very close once again this week, made a nice run, and he seems to be the player with, I guess, the most consistent game across the lanes throughout the country. If there were a sentimental choice, I would pick Mike Durbin. Mike, you never won Bowler of the Year.
No, never did win that one.
Well, maybe on the seniors tour, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Let's now recap basically what's transpired thus far here in Austin this evening. Big story thus far is the fact that Mr. Dave Arnold has already won a couple of games, but as we take a look at game number 1, it was Wagner and Baker. They tied at 186 and had to go to sudden death.
And for the second time in 2 consecutive championship appearances, Kent Wagner was involved in a roll-off. This one, though, he managed to win 39-38. Mark Baker had the chance to win, didn't strike on lane 20, and that was the big story of the first match.
The amazing thing about game number 2, Kent Wagner comes right out of the gate, goes strike, 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 and then comes back after the commercial and goes open, open, and in the end, he gets beat 218-178.
Well, Kent had no one to blame but himself in that one. You can't miss 4 spares in one game and expect to win against the caliber of competition we have on the PBA Tour. When you start missing spares like that, it unnerves you, and it did with him visibly so. And he only shot 178. Arnold bowled a nice steady game, kept it clean, kept the ball in the pocket for the most part, and bowled 218.
And the scenario that's unfolded once again here is the player who wins one game gets lined up, normally goes on to win the second one, and Arnold just flat out bowled Purvis Granger in game number 2, shooting 258-191. And you got to believe that Dave Arnold right now is feeling pretty good about the championship game.
Yeah, he probably was ready to get this conversation over with and get this game started because he's hot right now and is lined up and is ready to go.
What's that mean, Mike, to win the semifinal game, especially shooting a big game like 258?
Well, it really means nothing because you've got to put it behind you, whether it was a good game or a bad game, whatever, and you've got to focus now on this game. It doesn't matter that he shot 250 the game before. He's got to beat Scott Devers right now, and that's got to be his entire focus.
Well, before we get to the championship game here in 1988, last year's finale is certainly worth taking a second look at because it was at Westgate Lanes, also in Austin, Texas. Philip Ringner was the top seed, and you pick up the action in the 10th, Mike.
And we're going to see Philip finishing in the 10th frame right here, and he gets a high 4-7 to go for the second one in the 10th frame. He needed now a strike on the fill ball to shoot 249. As we see his reaction here. Philip, a non-winner on the PBA Tour at this time. Still a non-winner right now.
Probably took him a whole year to calm down from that one. Then, of course, the critical shot, he ended up leaving 9, which swung the door wide open for Kent Wagner, who finished 4th this week. Kent needed 2 strikes and 9 to tie, 3 strikes to take it right off the sheet and win the championship. And let's take a look at basically what happened here in 87. There you see the graphic and the serious face. Tonight, he couldn't strike in game number 2, but he couldn't throw it much better there in the 10th.
Right in there. He needed all 3 of them, and all 3 of them were just the same, Dan. He just put everyone in there, ringing her. You can see the pressure written all over his face as he's counting the number of strikes down. Wagner took them one at a time. Kent, who's never really, I think, regarded himself as a super clutch player, came through in this, and you would think that it would just give him all kinds of confidence.
Although he seems to be growing in that regard. You know, as we mentioned coming into this one this year, he had to throw some big strikes last night just to qualify for the championship round. And this one was to basically put himself in a position where with one more strike after the shot, he could win the tournament. And believe me, the place was going absolutely wild there in the 11th.
And the shot was just the same as the first one in the 10th. But when you're in that situation, Den, it's just one at a time. You just take each shot, one right after another. Now the focus in his mind at this time was one more strike, and this is to win.
And how many times, Mike, in your career did you get up and have to throw a strike to win a championship?
Well, really only once that I had to strike to beat Marshall Holman in 1981 in Sarasota. Unfortunately, I got it. There were times that I failed, but this particular time I came through. Kent came through in classic style, couldn't throw it any better, and knocked that 10-pin right out of there. To win last year, couldn't do it this year.
And, of course, he made a bold run this year trying to qualify once again for the championship game, but let's get down to the title match. Scott Devers now and Dave Arnold. Who do you like?
Well, I'm going to go with Scott Devers.
Because he's 2-0 from the top seed position?
Scott has an ability inside him to focus on one game, to win that one game. I told you last night when in the 10th frame when he needed 2 strikes and 9 to tie that he would get it. I think he'll win tonight.
Well, pressure bowling coming your way on ESPN in just a moment or so between Dave Arnold out of Campbell, California, and from Centerville, Indiana, it's the top seed Scott Devers. We'll be back with the championship right after this.
Fred Gregg Buick presents American cars to command the American road. LeSabre, designed with your family's comfort in mind. Sleek, spacious, that's LeSabre. Take the road to the top with Park Avenue for people who accept nothing but the finest in engineering and convenience. Riviera, an extraordinary car for the extraordinary individualist. Take command of the American road with a 1988 Buick from Fred Gregg.
The great American road belongs to Buick.
My place or your place?
My place, of course. My place has delicious food and cozy dining. Fresh homemade pizza with a variety of toppings oozing with mozzarella. Hot and cold subs, spaghetti, rigatoni, stromboli. And my place has specials like mouth-watering manicotti and fresh veal parmesan. Plus, you can eat and relax in the dining room, or my place has takeout available with a convenient drive-through window.
Let's go.
Where?
My place, of course, with 5 convenient locations.
On November 4th, 1985, McDonald's assigned an elite task force of uniformed crew members to join crisp, cool lettuce and tomatoes with hot, sizzling beef in order to create the freshest tasting hamburger in the world. Today, you can taste the adventure. Go where the best hits the bun. McDonald's wants you to join McDLT.
The good time, great taste of McDonald's.
Join McDLT.
Opportunity can't knock unless it's on your doorstep. Subscribe to the Wall Street Journal.
Call 800-372-3000 for this great journal subscription offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
No, it's not the University of Texas in Oklahoma. It's the championship round of the $130,000 Columbia 300 Open.
It's Texas versus Indiana?
I'm telling you.
No, actually, California versus Indiana.
That's right. Texas. Southwestern Conference. you UCLA fans are in the Pac-10. Opening shot for Dave Arnold. A little high, a little left, and a bit of a little break.
And again, that tilt to that shoulder. See, I know that because that used to be one of my big problems.
Sure. I'm sure Dave, when he gets a chance to watch the videotape replay of this telecast this evening, we'll take a look at that, try and correct it. Not too bad for this evening, averaging just a fraction less than 230. In his television appearances, oh my goodness, absolutely whiffed on the right, and that's exactly what Scott Devers was hoping for.
Just careless here. Evidently thought the ball was going to hook, and he just gives it too much room. He was thinking about the chop, so he wanted to hit the 6-pin on the right and never hit it at all. The ball just never comes back and misses the 6-9 altogether. Tell you what, when your opponent opens like that, and if you jump on him with a double, it can put all kinds of thoughts into your mind.
Won his first PBA title at the Miller Lite Challenge in Tucson, Arizona, defeating Mark McDowell from the top seed position, 234 to 206.
And in that one, McDowell had come up from the bottom, and Scott knocked him off.
Also knocked off a pretty heavy player last fall, too, in Marshall Holman, to capture a title.
Oh, he couldn't have thrown it any better. Solid 7, and Dave Arnold says, all right, thank you.
You mentioned you had a special note concerning the 7-pin and Scott Devers in match play this week.
He missed 9 of them in match play. Missed none in the qualifying round. Missed 9 in match play. It's not a sure thing. All of them in the channel.
Normally a very accurate player, too.
Dead center.
Well, his forte is hitting what he is looking at and making good, clean, crisp shots.
Plus just an inner quality, inner character. Gave it some room on that right lane and didn't get the wall shot. When you miss a spare like that, then you make a mistake in a crucial situation like that. If you don't come right back and get that double to make up for it, it just plays a little nagging problems with your mind.
I think if there's one thing that Dave Arnold has impressed me most with in watching him last summer and also this summer, it's his ability to shake things off and come back and just make the next shot the best shot that you can.
Well, that's what he needs to do. Has this spare, no trouble.
He was fortunate, though, that Devers left the solid 7, because had Scott jumped off with a quick double, then it would have been try and catch up all the way.
There's Jerry Ray, the co-owner here, our host every year when we've been in Austin.
That's right. Co-owner with Harry Peterson. Fine gentleman who has enjoyed bowling throughout the years, and Mr. Peterson and his partner have made big waves in the Austin area in bowling in the last 15, 20 years.
A little quick and left of target again on this lane 19. He hasn't bowled for the title before, and he really hasn't made a good shot on this left lane yet.
Looks like he's getting a little cotton mouth there, too.
It's just, you get that open, and you want to get a double to make up for it and get something going, and if you're not throwing the ball in the pocket, Coach, you can't do it. Now, he missed the 6, but you see him move over a little bit. He said, I'm going to learn from the last time. Now, I don't know if practice he didn't shoot the 6-pin or the 10-pin to get a feel for how slick that was going across.
Oh, I got to believe he did.
I got to believe it, too, but the way he looked at that approach and everything, he just got fooled on that first frame.
perfect. Steady Eddie, only in this case, Steady Scott.
He makes those instant replay shots. You know, they all look the same.
And here's his unusual swing. 4-step delivery. The head is steady. Watch it come back. Bounces behind the back. But from right here, now, watch how straight it comes through. Right through. Now he comes up, but the ball's long gone. Two perfect shots, solid 7, and it's keeping Dave Arnold in the match right now. No change of expression. A big grimace in my teeth.
Both of these guys. Huh?
I'll tell you.
Well, that's what good nerves does for you, Mike.
Is that it?
Yep.
Maybe it's young nerves.
I know one thing. My knees would be... You could hear him from the approach, I'll tell you that.
Well, Scott's so old. He's already 26. He's an old man.
Got 2 titles, too. And he's looking for number 3 here this evening on ESPN. Devers now through 4, leads by 14, but long way to go here in the title match.
This was for all that you do.
In the minors, you must have called it all 1,000 times, but you never lost sight of the dream.
I got a telegram for you, Tony.
Okay, thanks, Pop. Hi, babe. Hey, guess what? I got your call. Yeah. Linda Majors.
You've got a shot, you'll take it.
What's this, rookie umpire?
You've got the heart to make it. You've got the fire, that big league desire. You keep on reaching higher. You make America working. This was for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood age for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers.
Hi. Compliments from the gentleman over there.
August sizzles with sports excitement on ESPN. The NFL is back. See 4 live preseason showdowns. And golf swings into its final Grand Slam event, the PGA Championship. August serves up great tennis. Olympic hopefuls going all out in tune-up for the summer games. And auto racing from the world's most prestigious tracks. Plus, live Wednesday night PGA Tour action. The heat is on in August on ESPN.
And for your viewing pleasure, coming up at the completion of tonight's championship, Larry I Never Leave the Bucket Burnett and John Spare Saunders standing by in Bristol for all the latest on Sports Center. You know, all of those guys at Sports Center, Mike, are going to be asking you for the free bowling tips here in the next couple of weeks, so I told them you'd be more than happy to oblige.
And Dave, another strike. Arnold needs to get another strike right there.
Well, we've still not seen a double in the match, but if Arnold's going to toss one, the 5th frame would be an opportune time.
Well, he's got to make some kind of adjustment. He's gone high twice on lane 19 that he was so zeroed in on the first 2 games. Now he's gotten the ball into the pocket on 20, and he's got to make the proper adjustment on lane 19.
Yeah, but when the difference is exemption, Firestone Tournament of Champions, and your name with all those other PBA champions, the lanes tend to change a little bit in the title match.
That's entirely true.
To climb back in the middle of this one. Nice professional shot by Arnold on lane 19.
4-pin match right now. 2 young players who really have an ability to concentrate.
I'll tell you what's impressive about that. This gentleman's averaged about 240 for all the wheat.
Boy, he's just thrown every one like that. He's got 3 strikes and 2 7-pins. Now, remember what happened to Kent Wagner in the first match? He left those 2 solid 10s on lane 19, tried to stuff it up there a little tighter, and left the 4-6. Let's see what kind of shot that Scott Devers makes here on 19. said, I'm going to go light. Blow that 5 out of there.
Oh, come on. He didn't make that adjustment. Are you serious? Do you think he did?
No, I think he just threw it a little bit harder.
So
and the ball
do I.
didn't finish as much.
But if we ask him later, he'll probably say, yeah, I moved a half a board, tried to swing it a little bit. What a great shot. Oh, my goodness. These two are locked up in a duel here for $20,000 in first place prize money.
Arnold needs this one desperately.
Oh, just perfect. Oh. He's into it now. Well, in years past, these great bowling fans in the Austin, Texas area have really been treated as some classic championship games. Last year, I mean, I don't know, this one may go right to the end, but I don't know if it could be much better than last year.
Well, Arnold right now in the 7th frame has the chance to take the lead for the first time in the match. And he's making sure that he doesn't rush it. I mean, as he should. You want to go through your entire mental checklist right now, everything you need to do to make the best possible shot you can. A little bit quick. You see the finish right through at the end, just a little quick, a little short on the slide. And could have got away with it. Light tickler there, could have struck.
Deaver's obviously concentrating on his shot in the 7th. Not much you can do about what Arnold's doing on the other side of the ledger. It's a breakthrough of sorts, though, when your opponent doesn't keep the string alive.
Absolutely. Deaver's up by 5 on a lane that he has not missed. Only perfect strikes on yet. Can increase it to 15 with one more here. Kind of came up at the line a little bit that time. Not as good a shot as he's made. Leaves the wall shot 10. See how quickly he comes up here. See him come up a little bit there quickly. And the ball doesn't finish as much. The head pin goes to the wall. And he has the 5, 6, 10. And winds up with just a 10. He's saying, get a break.
You know, you moaned pretty well there, Mike. Of course, it's 20 years of practice.
Yeah.
You had plenty of practice.
You heard a couple of those moans.
Well, don't forget, next week on ESPN, one of the biggest stops on the summer tour, the $150,000 Hammer Open at Boulevard Bowl in Edmond, Oklahoma. Richard Altman and that crew getting ready for the professionals to come on down, and going to be a big week.
Their Pro-Am there is outstanding every year. They have I don't know how many entries, but lots of them.
Walter Ray Williams Jr. will look for his 3rd consecutive Hammer Open championship.
Head by 4 pins. And blows that 5 out again. Says that carries better than solid.
Classy shot for the 26-year-old out of Centerville, Indiana. What a brilliant year last year. Won better than $94,000. Kind of behind schedule this year. But with 20 on top tonight, should he win, he's back on pace.
Just a little tight, leaves the 4 pin. That shot was important, but the next one coming up is even more important. I'm giving him the spare. He has to make the 4 pin. But he must strike in the 9th frame. If he makes the 4 pin and strikes in the 9th frame, he's still potential 224, which forces Scott Deaver still have a lot of work to do to lock this match up. Dead center. Well, this is where it's all at, Denny, right now. To win your first title, you got to come from 5 pins behind with 2 frames to go. Arnold has to strike here in the 9th frame. Just Absolute necessity.
Same pre-shot routine.
Routine, huh?
Yeah, that'll happen once in a while. Gotta check my pre-shot routine, huh? I'm getting nervous. I don't know about you.
It fell. He's still alive, but just barely.
Hanging by a thread on the left-hand lane. That shot much slower than the one previously.
Pressure, again, the pressure. Watch it go right through the heart of the pins here, and he has the 6, 7, 9, 10 standing, and the 7 pin finally falls out of there. The 4 falls and hits the 2 there, and it keeps rolling and knocking the 7 pin over eventually. Now, this is the spare he missed virtually in the first frame. He had the 6, 9, same type of shot. That's what he wanted to do the first time.
You look back at that miss, if he makes the spare in the opening frame, he's ahead going into that stage.
That's true. Now he's down by 8 pins. Scott Deaver, who has not missed the pocket through 8 frames, has his fate in his own hands. Soft 7, and we're going to go to the 10th frame. Devers is going to need to make the 7, and remember, he missed 9 of them during match play, so this is no gimme yet, and he needs to double in the 10th frame to lock up that victory. Otherwise, Dave Arnold's going to have a chance to stand up and throw a double to win.
Well, last night, Devers had to double and get 9 to tie Purvis Granger to become the top seed, and he was able to do that.
I think he's got to knock down this 7 pin first. Uh-oh. It's gone. He missed the 7 pin and falls behind in the match. Down by 4 pins. He wants a re-rack, and I think this is just to buy time. He just never made it. See him hanging that ball? Way out too far on the lane. Didn't get the thumb out clean, and it wasn't close. He knew right away. See him say, oh.
Well, I wonder if that thought was in the back of his mind.
Oh, it had to be. It had to be.
Wow.
He's got to regroup, though. I mean, it's so hard to do to ignore that because you know you have victory right there. And now you're behind.
Trying to bounce back. Gets an anchor and a strike.
What a break. What a break. That right hit, not the best shot in the world, but he got away with it. He has one more opportunity now to regroup here, get the double, and go back ahead and make Dave Arnold double. We could have a tie then. It's possible. If he didn't strike and Arnold counted 16 in the 10th frame, we'd have a tie.
Better tell Larry and John to stand by.
For the lead.
Perfect.
Wow. What a shot.
Oh, my. Well, the pressure was really heaped on Deaver's shoulders, but it was self-imposed after he missed the 7.
Self-imposed, but he regrouped, got himself back together, made his best shot of the game right here. And he knew it. He says, you better carry.
Well, every professional bowler to win his first title should probably have to throw a double, and that's what Arnold's going to have to do.
Count is relatively unimportant at this stage. .206.
Well, he did the best with what he had in the 10th. 207, the final score for Scott Devers. But as Mike said, the count on the fill ball really academic because 2 strikes is what Arnold has to have to get to that stage.
2 strikes and 7. Tough way to go to win your first title.
Yeah, he'll never forget.
Too much room. Tough shot to make,
man. Boy, heartbreak for Dave Arnold, who lifts his hand, and Scott Devers, on the other hand, just about as excited as you can get. Thought he had given it away and came up with some big strikes in the 10th, the 11th, and 12th. And look at Scott. Look at his face. The sigh of relief. He could have never lived that one down, having missed the one-pin spare. Back with the trophy and check presentation from Austin right after this final timeout.
It's time to visit one of the world's great garden spots. The Lawn and Garden Department at your local True Value hardware store, where you'll find Ortho Triox just $10.88 a gallon. It prevents plant growth for up to a year. To clear heavy grass, get the Homelight dual-line gas trimmer with a 25cc engine, only $79.88. Then control bugs with a Flotron 15-watt electric insect killer, only $24.88. At participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
There's a level of performance that separates the good from the great. That's why Carmen Salvino designed the Ebonite Thunderbolt. The exclusive power core increases gyroscopic action for a sharper hook on heavy oil. And the Thunderbolt rolls farther before hooking, so it hits harder for less deflection and more striking power. The difference between good and great is the power of the Thunderbolt.
Some guys, they have it all. Some guys are just too big. Some guys, they have a fall. Some guys get left out in the rain.
Don't wait for something good to happen. Make it happen with the clean, masculine scent of English leather cologne.
Some guys have what others want. Some guys have it all.
English leather. Some guys have it all.
ESPN is your ticket to NFL Sunday night action when the best go head-to-head. ESPN brings you 13 exciting NFL matchups. Each Sunday night of the season, see the greatest plays of every game on NFL Primetime, football's finest hour. Joe Theismann joins ESPN's acclaimed NFL coverage when the Saints and Vikings go head-to-head August 7th at 8 Eastern. Live NFL Sunday Night Football on ESPN.
Blame him for cheering. Scott Devers, the champion here in Austin, Texas, and Brian Flanner, Vice President of Sales, has a marvelous trophy. Brian?
Congratulations, Scott, on a magnificent week of bowling. You really made it exciting there. Columbia is really proud to be associated with you, and I'd like to present this trophy, but it's too heavy to leave here, so I'll take it with me.
First of all, I want to thank Columbia. They're great. Thank you very much. Brian, you're great. Connie Smoot, John Rizzo, everybody. John Jowdy, thank you very much.
Well, he knows what to do with a short amount of time. Pat Fitzpatrick with a beautiful check worth 20,000 big ones, Scott.
Scott, on behalf of all the bowlers of Austin, congratulations on being our 1988 champion.
Thank you very much, Pat. And especially thanks to Family Sports and particularly Highland Lanes. It's a great place to bowl.
Maybe just one quick question. You missed the 7-pin. Did you do it to make it exciting?
No, and I guarantee you when I go home, I'll be working on that spare.
Thanks so much for joining us here in Austin, Texas. The winner of the $130,000 Columbia 300 Open, Scott Devers. And we'll see you next week from Edmond, Oklahoma. So long, everybody. The championship round finals of the $130,000 Columbia 300 Open have been brought to you by True Value Hardware. It's more than our name, it's our way of doing business. By Ebonite, where advanced technology has striking results. And by English Leather, a man's cologne and aftershave, because some guys have it all. Next week on the PBA Summer Tour, it'll be Boulevard Bowl in Edmond, Oklahoma, where the professionals finally show up. The site of the $150,000 Hammer Open, beginning at 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time on ESPN.